Hey guys, welcome back to the Fulco. Today making a video just looking back at last night's game against Manchester City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Obviously not the result we wanted, coming away with obviously a 0-1 defeat to Man City, who have now managed to beat us twice at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in 2 years, which is, used to be their bogey ground. And it's been really interesting to see the reaction after the game from the Spurs fan base, because I probably wasn't expecting the level of disappointment from a lot of people after the performance that I saw and after the game and the way that it played out. So let's take a little jump into it. Let's look at it from a few different angles, as I normally like to do, and then let's see whether you guys agree. I think the first place to start is to remember that this Tottenham Hotspur team is still playing without its two first choice centre backs and its first choice number 9. Okay, and in a game like the Man City one, those positions, they're key in any game and against any opposition. But as we potentially showed against Ipswich, with players coming back from injury, you can get over a game like that. You can do it because the quality of your squad is better than the quality of the other team's squad. So you can overcome those hurdles. But even though Man City are not having a great season, they're very inconsistent and they're definitely not at the levels that they have been in previous years, that is still a very high quality team. And they obviously had their number 9, their record-breaking number 9, coming back into the game. And that makes a difference. It really does. And so I don't think it should go unnoticed that we are still potentially playing without 3 of our most important and most influential players, particularly as the 2 centre halves are key to not only our defensive work, but also the way that we attack from the back. And obviously our striker is so key in the way that he presses and he leads the line and can hold the ball up as well and win possession for us higher up the pitch. So anyway, that I think matters, and we should still have it in our consideration when we think about how we started the game. The next thing that I see a lot of people getting really angry about is the team selection. And again, I'm quite surprised by this. The one thing I would say is my reading of the team selection is slightly different to what people have been shouting and arguing about, which is rest. So everybody talking about players like Spence being rested, and I'm not sure that was the thinking behind the changes. I feel like the substitutions that were made later in the game and the starting lineup was selected more on getting minutes into players' legs for the upcoming games than it was resting players. What I mean by that is I think that they wanted to get the bulk of the minutes into Udogie's legs, and therefore Spence gets a rest off the back of that. But I don't think Spence's rest was the consideration. I think it was about building up Udogie so that he's also going to be at a level where he and Spence are fighting for that left back spot in the upcoming important Europa League games and the Prem games. The similar kind of thing in terms of Odobert and Son. So Son definitely has needed rest. And he's looked so much sharper by having midweeks off when we've had weekend games recently. And Odobert needs minutes. He needs to get those minutes into his legs. So it was really important for Odobert to get a start on that left-hand side and to get lots of minutes into his legs so he can also perform at a high level, because he's getting that intensity and he's getting that game practice. Similarly to Brennan Johnson, lots of people, obviously, people are where they are with Brennan. He needed his minutes and his fitness built up. And I would say also for James Maddison, a similar kind of consideration. So for me anyway, I wasn't mad at the lineup. I wasn't disappointed in the players that were chosen. Decky deserved to sit. He deserved a rest. Sonny deserved a rest, and we needed to get minutes into players' legs. So that was fine by me. I see a lot of people who disagree with that very strongly. Disagree with that on the basis of Porro having played so many minutes, etc. Was he the right person over Spence So you'd argue, give Udogie his minutes, sit Porro, give Spence the right-hand side. But Spence is such an important player to us at the minute that I don't mind he being the player that sits so that he can play and take the start for the RZ game next week. And then Porro sits, and then he can be an impact player to come on. We'll talk a little bit about Porro in a sec. If we look at the game, we were far too easy to play against in the first half, and there was a couple of reasons for that. Our normal defensive frailties were in evidence. As I always talk about, midfield running lines, too easy to play through the middle, too easy to get the ball into the fullback areas. And obviously Man City have two very high quality wingers brought in at great expense to do exactly what they did. So Savinho and Doku brought in to be 1v1 specialists, to take players on, to be difficult to defend against because they're both on the opposite side. So they can come in onto their stronger foot, but they've still got the quality to beat you on the outside as well, which you have to guard against. So it's a really tough kind of matchup in the fullback areas, but as ever, we don't cover ourselves in glory. And I also feel that we don't help ourselves with the way that our midfield sets up. And we can see that right away from, the Haaland goal. There's a situation where Danso finds himself very high up. And then as our defence is dropping, because the ball's over with Doku, who's attacking, he's got lots of space and he's attacking 1v1. He's attacking the fullback. For whatever reason, we get ourselves into a horrible sawtooth in the area. And again, that could be down to the fact that we haven't got our two first choice centre halves. It could be that Danso's still finding his feet, but Danso ends up dropping, and he allows kind of separation in the box. I think he's got one eye on one of the Man City players. I can't remember who it is that's not Haaland. He's got one eye on that. And then from that moment, when it's easy for Doku, he's inside the area, so he can't be touched, you can't get physical with him. From that moment where Doku's got an easy ball across the box, as ever, I feel like a midfielder should be on the toes of a striker that tries to drop out towards the penalty spot. We don't do it. And then your last line of defence is Udogie. So Udogie tucking around and doing kind of fullback duty and getting across the front of a striker with a sliding tackle. He doesn't do that. He doesn't engage. Even if he does and that ball continues to go, you'll find that I think Savinho's in absolute acres of space. And, Odobert was miles away at that point. So again, I think there's plenty that we can continue to work on and plenty that the coaching staff can do defensively to really tighten up that situation, because we see it time and time and time again. Again, similarly, I think Savinho has a chance that he should score. And this was an awful one in terms of wide player to wide player and the fullbacks on our side. Because of space, Udogie definitely didn't look sharp, kind of trying to get back in there. And that's a chance that they should have taken. Again, far too easy to get the ball into that position. And again, we can't be leaving those pockets of space because good teams will punish us. We got away with it. They didn't score. Haaland then had a chance, almost a carbon copy of his goal, where the ball is coming from Doku's side. And again, the centre-backs drop, and for me, drop a little bit too deep too early. The threat is Haaland, who pulls away again. And this time he doesn't just run in and pull back. He runs across the line, the two channels of the centre halves. And again, where is your midfield support here? Where is the blocking up of this key area in the middle of the penalty area that is going to stop these opportunities? For me, we really do have to look at it and we really do have to work on it, whether that's personnel or whether that's improving the players that are out on the pitch at the moment. Despite all of that, and despite these issues that we talk about again and again in terms of defensively, we still found ourselves going over the 35 minute mark at 1-0 down. I think Danso, he had a bit of an up and down game, but what I do want to praise him for is his physicality. He got some good blocks in, and he also tends to make first contact from set pieces or balls in the air. He's a very physical character, and I think he prides himself on it as well. So it's the kind of thing he really cares about. And that shouldn't be underestimated. Winning first contact from defensive and attacking situations is massive. It hugely increases the percentage chance of either scoring a goal or effectively defending. So he really adds something to the team, and I think that's something we should be very happy about. He's come in and he's done quite well. And he's also very confident in himself, and he likes to run and move with the ball. He potentially lacks a little quality in what he does with it at the end, but he's not afraid to take players on, and he's done that quite successfully. So that's really nice to see. I wanted to shout out Maddison. I don't know what people are saying about him. I haven't really seen much about him, but he did well for me. He had a good game. He showed that he was willing to get involved on the defensive stuff, which people love to see. So when you're, a number 10 style player, but you're willing to help out the team defensively, people love that. It gets the fans on side, and I think he did really well. There's a couple of really good challenges. He won back possession for us, and a lovely rugby tackle in the second half where he had to take one for the team. And it's just one of those. It was a good yellow card. It was a good challenge to make. It needed to be made, and he did it at the right time. He didn't let Savinho go 50 yards down the pitch and then give away a set piece in a dangerous area. So I thought he linked the play nicely. I thought he moved the ball a bit quicker than he has been. I thought he was nice and tight with his passing. And certainly in the second half, when we looked a lot better, he was the one that was really making it tick in terms of moving the ball around. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. Then we've got I think we get to the Odebear chance now. So we're moving into the second half. And it's Maddison that plays the ball out to Porro. Porro, this is where he excels, right? He gets himself into that high up half space, the wide forward area, and he delivers with quality. This is the stuff he's really good at. He's a very good technical player. He's got an incredible engine on him. And he delivers a lovely whipped ball across, which I think probably Matisse Tell is probably attacking that in the middle, which draws the two centre-halves. And then Odebear at the back post. He's maybe just a fraction off it. You feel like if that was Brennan Johnson, he's a step further on in the run. He's read it maybe a step earlier, and he's a step further on in the run and maybe gets a cleaner contact on it. I still thought that was going in. And so I was up celebrating like a fool, and it just went right wide of the post. Is maybe just that slight hesitation, that slight reading of the situation, or just a bit of like finding your feet when you're coming back into the side. So it's a really good chance. And then we really started to crank up the pressure. We had good possession. We were really pinning them back. We were maintaining the ball. We were winning the ball back really well. Sonny then has come onto the pitch. So after a long old delay, we managed to make a raft of changes, and the changes, again, this is what Postecoglou wants to do. It's the way his tactics and his system works. He's being able to bring players on 60, 65, 70 minutes and keep the intensity or keep raising the intensity, and maybe pose slightly different questions as well. So again, this was a nice work by Brennan Johnson. Again, he's receiving huge amounts of criticism, but he was not terrible. He had a decent game. There's more he could do. There's still times when he wraps across straight into the first player, the fullback or the centre half that's next to him, when he could maybe do a bit better taking players on. But he does things with quality. He rarely, if ever, he very rarely gives the ball away. So he's never the player that's given the ball away that leads to a transition. And again, he does well. I think he beats Kovacic easily, good technique, pace, gets away from him, and then delivers a nice ball, really nicely weighted ball across, so Son can hit that on the move. Son does what he can with it. He kind of sweeps it, and it's a good save from the keeper. And you never know where that's going to fall. It didn't fall for us yesterday, but it could have fallen to somebody else following up. And again, there's a couple of occasions when Brennan, he gets a lot of stick. He got a nice little nutmeg inside and passage of play where he played, moved us forward from an attack on the right hand side. And he should be credited for that. He does things to a high standard. Is there more that can come from him? 100% there is. 100% with the pace that he's got. He should be able to slow fullbacks down, and then burst past them. And then, improve inside the penalty area, touches inside the penalty area. Just the speed of thought inside the penalty area, not always choosing the same kind of whipped ball or shot, cut inside, do something slightly different. Then kind of if Man City tried to, they made changes and they did manage to dampen it down. Obviously, it was always going to happen that we weren't going to be able to keep up the intensity that we'd had for the kind of first 30 minutes of the second half. They did kind of quieten it down by making a few changes, but actually I thought we were okay. And then we get to the Haaland chance. So again, that's a situation where, I don't really want to see Haaland stepping through two players with a ball kind of chipped up and over. That shouldn't be a ball that favours the striker. That should be favouring the defenders. Danso maybe could be a bit stronger, providing a surface that Haaland has to literally walk through and knock him over to go. But, Danso's actually on the retreat, so he's kind of on the half turn, so he's not providing like a wall to walk through. I think my understanding of the situation is the referee gave a handball, and therefore what VAR was looking for, it wasn't looking for a handball, it was looking for clear and obvious evidence that there wasn't one. It took ages, they couldn't find it, and therefore the decision on the field stood, and the referee's decision was that it was a handball. Were we a bit fortunate? Yes, we were. It looked like there was several handballs in there, some of them by Tottenham players as well. So depending on where you could say the offences started, we could have conceded a penalty conceivably as well. At that point, I was really disappointed that we could have potentially conceded the second goal. My feeling is that if we'd have lost at that point at 1-0, I would still have come away with a broadly positive feeling about a lot of the players, minutes going in, players having had rest, the way that we'd showed in the second half that we could, improve on what was being done in the first half, keeping the ball, moving it quicker, being a bit braver as well. I think I was broadly feeling quite positive and feeling, yes, we certainly could have got ourselves a goal with the chances we had. They maybe weren't quite as good as the chances that City had in the first half, but I think you could have come out of that game at 1-1 and felt slightly fortunate, but actually it was a justifiable result. Sometimes the rub of the green is the bit that decides it, and getting a bit of the rub of the green, them not taking their chances and us getting a goal might have been fair in this circumstance. But then once that goal is disallowed, we should have had longer, but we've got 30 seconds, a minute to go up the other end. And of course, we have the Papsar chance. And it was such a disappointing go. Papsar had come on and done quite well. He'd added energy. There was time down in the right fullback area where he ran in and picked maybe Jack Grealish's pocket or something when they were on a dangerous attack and had numbers. Doing the stuff that we want to see him doing, that energy. But then we managed to get the ball. Archie Gray knocks it forward. Lovely header from Decky to play it outright to Porro. Porro delivers the ball early. I was thinking to myself, maybe bring it down to deliver it. But he delivers it early because he can see Son. Son does anything he can. He kind of plays it off his back to move it one on. And Papsar, young man, you need to get off the floor. It caught him on his heels. It caught him unawares. He should be thinking about it. He's got to do everything. He does not jump. He kind of gets caught betwixt and between, and he gets slightly under the ball and he pops it over the bar. He really should be getting up, and worst case scenario, he should be nodding that as far down as he can. And maybe if it's centre of goal, he gives the keeper a question. Can he get to it? Can he get a surface on it? But actually, can he just guide it towards that second post, get above it and get a slightly angled contact on it? It's probably not his game. He's probably not used to scoring headers. But again, he should do better. He should get up and above that ball. We don't get the goal. It doesn't go our way. We come away with a 1-0 defeat. But like I said, I'm feeling relatively positive after the game. And I'm sticking with that feeling that I had at the time. And then I think we should be pleased overall with our second half performance. Like I said, we were a bit braver. The changes are exactly what Ange wants to do in games, so that's good to see, and that's only going to stand us in good stead going forward, hopefully for these cup matches in the Europa League. We do need to shout out Lucas Berrival, who for me was having an absolute blinder of a performance. He really was doing well, given how young he is and given what he's had to go through and how much football he's playing. The way he was running past, marauding past Man City players, having the confidence and the technique to drive past players. It was wonderful to see. Him being a very young man, there were times where I could see him drive past one, drive past another. And then I'm thinking, this is it, offload it now, use it. This is the moment. You've committed players. This is the right time. That youthful enthusiasm, you think, you think you've got the beating of the world, and he maybe at times was then a bit wasteful or giving away possession. But you cannot underestimate how impressive it is for a young man of his age, just coming into the Premier League, to be stepping past Man City's players the way he was doing. He was excellent, and he will learn. What he's shown in terms of the really sharp uptick in his performances this season is that he does assimilate information. He takes it on and he improves from it. So he will learn. He will learn in games when it's a game to really burst past players, and he's been doing it recently. And when are those key moments to offload? And that will be when he really starts to move on to another level, is when he realises when to use the ball. Also, I'll give a quick shout out to Bentancur, because I thought he again had a very good game. He's come under a lot of criticism recently, which is quite surprising to me. He wasn't perfect by any means, but he keeps the ball ticking over. He's very technically able. He's, a very good footballer. And in winning duels, he is absolutely excellent. So often he gets in and wins challenges. One really nice one, a typical Bentancur, reaches a leg in and then stabs down and wins the ball off Haaland, who's a big, powerful player. And Haaland just kind of thinking, wow, what happened there? He's a lovely player, Bentancur. And I think as we grow the level of our team, he also will continue to perform at a level. So he deserves a shout out for me. And yeah, overall, feeling glass half full. We've got an entire, I think is it 8 days before RZ, and so we should be expecting to go there and to get a result. I know it's away from home, I know it's going to be a big game for them, but it doesn't matter with the players coming back, with the strength of our squad. Even if it remains the way it is now, without any more first teamers coming back, a good week of training, a good week of preparation, we should really be in a place to go and get a result over at RZ to then really take the pressure off the return leg at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So anyway, I'll leave it there. I'm sure loads of people don't agree with how I'm feeling about the game, and that's fine. But overall, I'm feeling pretty good about it, even though we came out with a defeat, which, no one ever wants. So you're never happy about that. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Come on, Tottenham.